Call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Jacobs?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mrs. Juwan?
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda and the minutes of February 12th, 2018.
Second.
Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, can I have a motion for the travel requests, please?
Madam Chairperson, we have a motion for the travel request today. Wayne Castle, Associate City Engineer, attend Society of Land Surveyors of Iowa 2018 Conference in Ames, Iowa, March 8th through 9th. Amount not to exceed $400. Noah Anderson, Community Planning and Development Director, 2018 Cedar Valley Coalition, Washington, D.C., April 23rd to 25th, not to exceed $2,065. Lieutenant Fangman, Sergeant Bose, Sergeant Camarada, Investigator Frine, Officers Kuntz, Watson, Eilers, Gann, and Nissen to attend Constitutional Use of Force in Waterloo, March 19th, not to exceed $1,161. And then we've got a motion to approve a request to sell a vehicle on Purple Wave auction.
Second.
Okay. So you made a separate motion on that one? So we have a motion for the travel requests and a second. Any discussion on those? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and we have a separate motion to approve to sell the vehicle on the Purple Wave auction.
He actually included that in his original.
Well, he made a separate motion. Would you like to have that included in your original motion, Bruce?
Yeah, we just kind of combine, if that's all right, and combine
Yes.
all those together, and then we can move on with the second part.
Okay, okay. Then we'll have that motion as amended. Is there a motion then to approve the pre-authorization to expend over $1,000?
Sure. Do you want to vote on that, the first part?
I thought we did.
Well, we seconded it.
Well, then let's vote on it. It got a little confusing with number 4 being included. So we will vote on that, including number 4. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Terrific.
Yes.
Now, did we get that okay, Pat?
Yes, we did, Madam
Good.
Chairperson.
Thank you. Now, is there a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the following pre-authorizations to expend over $1,000. First is Central Garage with Mountain Estimated Shipping Handling, $4,697.38 plus $125 shipping and handling for repairs needed to repair the Bombardier for snow removal. Next is from Engineering, for Mountain Estimated Shipping Handling of $4,090.36 for the AutoCAD Infrastructure Design Suite software support. Next is from Leisure Services, a Mountain Estimated Shipping Handling of $1,975 for baseballs for the Optimus Baseball Program. And next is from Leisure Services as well, with a Mountain Estimated Shipping Handling, $1,284.85 for 1,000 square feet of VCT flooring, vinyl base, and adhesive. And next is Leisure Services, a Mountain Estimated Shipping Handling of $9,618.35 for 27 trees to be planted along Washington Street. And number 10 is from Planning, Mountain Estimated Shipping Handling of $3,475 for continuation for 1111 San Martin Drive or VGM Management. And next is from Police Department with the Mountain Estimated Shipping Handling of $30,290 to purchase 10 new in-car Panasonic Toughbook computers and docking stations. Next is from Sewer Department for a Mountain Estimated Shipping Handling of $36,543 plus the $500 shipping and handling for a Krone Titaflux 2000 mag meter and Krone IFC 300 single converter. And finally is from the Street Department's Mountain Estimated Shipping Handling of $1,009.25 for 1 roll of diamond grade sheeting and 1 roll of EC black film.
Second.
Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. I'd like to make a motion to approve the project budget amendment for the Plant Some Shade project to use revenue received from the sale of logs to purchase replacement trees in the amount of $12,750 as submitted by Leisure Services.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next motion, to approve the project budget amendment for the Tri-County Forfeiture Project to budget for additional revenue received this year so that it can be spent in the amount of $75,000 as submitted by the Police Department.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that, as contained in the accounts payable invoice dated February 19th, 2018, report in the amount of $2,945,402.85 be received, placed on file, approved, and forwarded to the full council. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to move along here pretty quickly. We're expecting some bad weather and freezing rain and ice and all those things, so we're going to haste on and get this council meeting started. But welcome anyway. Madam Clerk, could you please read the roll?
Mr. Jacobs?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mr. Schimpf?
Here.
Mrs. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Amos?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mrs. Juwan?
Here.
All right, I want to ask if you please join me in a moment of silence. Please take off your hats. You can stand or you can sit. All right, thank you. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented and the minutes of the February 12th, 2018 regular session as proposed.
Second. That motion has been made with.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to introduce something at this point in time, if I may have, and beg your indulgence to do this at this time.
You want to add something to the agenda?
See if it could be added.
I'm listening.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I again voice my request that you declare the action taken by a 4-3 vote on February 5th, 2018 consent agenda, item 1, period 4, or B, period 4, recommendation of appointment of John Ulrich from civil service list to position of garage mechanic at Public Works effective 2/7/18 as out of order, and that therefore the vote be null and void. I base this on the following. Number one, the full council on 8/28/17
Councilman Morrissey, if you want to save that to oral presentations, I just spoke with the clerk. This is not one that can be placed on the agenda right now. As such, you're reading about the decision whether or not I strike something on the agenda as not in order. Oral presentations, I'll let you continue to finish that when you do your presentation.
Well, you hadn't even let me finish this. I may have been asking for a motion to amend the agenda based on this.
If you're going to ask for a motion, let me hear it.
And I know that that would require probably a 2/3 vote at this point in time to amend that agenda. I will wait until oral presentation.
No, go ahead. If you got a motion that you want to place on the agenda, I apologize for interrupting you. Please continue.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I will reserve it for oral presentation. That way we don't have that kind of issue at this point in time, so I'll yield back the time.
But Mr. Mayor, Mr. Morrissey, you wouldn't be able to add it to the agenda at that time,
I understand
would
that.
you?
I understand that.
All right, she'll do it during presentation. Okay. All right, motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. First up on the agenda is to recognize the Optimist Youth Basketball Coaches and Player of the Year. I'll ask Alex to come up and lead us. And parents and folks, if you want to come up to the middle and take some pictures too, you're more than welcome. How are you? Good, how are you? Great, great. How are you? I know you, don't I? All right. Here you go, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. We're here to recognize some of our great youth athletic programs that we're running right now. We're just finishing up with our fifth and sixth grade boys program and 4th through 6th grade girls. In our boys program, we had over 70 kids registered to play basketball this year. We ended on February 9th with the Hawkeyes, coach here, winning the championship. And the girls, same night, Cornhuskers, coach, player here. We wanted to recognize these kids not just for being good basketball players, but as great team leaders, showing great sportsmanship and good character. Our Player of the Year for the 2018 Player of the Year Award goes to Jashawn Smith. The Player of the Year in the girls division goes to Iana Barnes. We also want to take some time here to recognize some of our outstanding young coaches that we have. Both of our coaches that are receiving the award tonight are UNI students. They support our programs greatly. So a big thank you goes out to the UNI Leisure Services Department, Youth and Human Services over there as well. The male coach of the year goes to Andrew Bellinelli. Our female coach of the year goes to Miranda Hansen.
All right, now you two have to tell us what's your favorite part about playing in the Optimist League.
My favorite part about playing in the Optimist League is you get to meet new people, you get to have fun, especially if you like basketball like me, and going to practices and having an amazing coach. And it was really fun.
All right.
My favorite thing about playing is meeting new people, playing with a team, going to practice, playing in games, and winning games.
All right. So much. And you two, we're looking for big things from the both of you. We thank you so much for volunteering. Alex, we thank you so much for never forgetting about investing in our young people and all the other coaches. We appreciate so much what you do for our young people in our community. Thank you. Thank you. A second to all right, thank you so much. Now we have oral presentations, and this is your opportunity to address the City Council. We have one person that signed up. It is Ms. Mary Potter. Wants to talk about tax cuts and the central garage mechanics. So would you please take the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mary Potter, president of Church Row Neighborhood Association, and I live at 207 Leland. I'm here tonight not really to talk about the cutting of taxes and all, but I'm rather talking to the council and to the mayor. I feel like I'm a very concerned citizen, as I think you may know, and there are a lot of concerned citizens sitting in this room. And I think we need to realize that we've watched for years the way this council plays tricks and plays games. And I think it's time we get this straightened out. I think it's time that we ask people on the council to no longer have their own agendas, but work for something that is happening for Waterloo. What is a way we can make Waterloo better rather than just trying to make ourselves look better? What can we do that will help it? I find it very odd, as do many other people, that every time there is a vote, it's 4-3. I think that doesn't say much for our council, that it's always 4-3, and it's always the same 4 against the same 3. I think some of that needs to be changed. I listen to people that want to be on the council, and their main reason to do that is because they want to reduce taxes. They do not say anything about, I'm going to make Waterloo a better place to live in. I just want to reduce taxes because that's the only way I can get elected. And I think that we realize that reducing taxes is not what's going to bring people to Waterloo. They are not going to come and say, well, you know, they reduced the taxes. That's really great. They now don't have as many policemen. They now don't have as much in the fire to help us if we have a problem. So what have we reserved? They don't come to Waterloo because they're finding it more desirable to live here, because they're not. Reduced taxes do not make people come to live in Waterloo. We've had people that really show no interest in Waterloo. They just show interest in being somebody. They go out and they campaign, oh, we're going to reduce taxes. They have nothing else to offer. Never do they say, well, we'll reduce taxes, but you realize we may lose a fireman. We may lose a policeman. They're more concerned in winning that election. Only one person that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there are more, but only one person I know that ever came to this council and never said, I'm going to reduce taxes, but rather could see all the good things that were happening in Waterloo, all the good things that were happening all over the nation. That person lost the election because someone else convinced them that we're going to reduce taxes, and that is more important. I think we need to start looking at candidates who have more in their back pocket than reducing taxes. That is not what's going to make Waterloo vibrant and viable. I also want you all to think about the fact that if I were coming to Iowa, what would I want to come to Iowa for? Why would I want to come to Waterloo? And I think that's what we need to stress from this point on. It's not important who serves on this council. I would dare say that there are people sitting out here that would make better council members, would be more interested in Waterloo, and would do more things to make Waterloo successful. Excuse me. I myself would be willing to do anything I can to make Waterloo better. I don't care if anybody knows who I am, which is a problem for some council members. I don't care if anybody pays a dime. I don't care if anybody reduces taxes or increases taxes. I think it is important that we start thinking about Waterloo and not ourselves, not what we think we want. We want to reduce taxes. We don't want to give up cigarettes. I don't want to give up sugar. Somebody else doesn't want to give up beer. But by golly, reduce those taxes. All these things you could take away. I could say I'll reduce my wages on this council. You know, those are things that could happen. I think that we are also giving a very poor image to people around the city. I'm a fairly visible person, and I was in 3 places on Tuesday. Well, last week it was on, was it last week you met on Monday? Mm-hmm. Or Tuesday, whatever it was. And one of them was a very gentle person. And he came in and he said, can you believe what happened at that council last night? That was deplorable. And he went on, and this man, who is meek and mild, started swearing. And I mean, it really opened my eyeballs to what's going on. I thought, when somebody like that can start swearing and cussing because the council acted like a bunch of idiots. Not all of you, not all of you.
No adjectives.
Oh, no adjectives. Well, that's a noun. Idiots is a noun. Point taken. Point taken. Okay. Sorry about that. I think we also have to recognize that we have a meeting coming up for the budgets. And last year I sat here and listened to Michelle being crucified. And I got very tired of that. I thought this is no way for anybody to be talking to her or any other public employee. Public employees in this town are wonderful, and they need to be respected. You have a woman here who works her butt off to make this work, and all we do is sit and criticize, and I have 1 second left, and thank you very much. Will you work on it? Thanks.
I think the beer comment kind of riled people, like not beer. All right, this is oral presentations, your opportunity to address the council on non-agenda related items. If you would come up, state your name for the podium and your address. Go.
Daryl Hardiman, 158 Letch Road. I thought the council meeting last week was rather depressing. As leaders of this city, you represent the city 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I believe that the mayor asked people to come up here to be cordial, to be polite, yet I listened to two citizens that were trying to serve this city be berated, be slandered, and that is not leadership. Anybody can do what another city is doing. I don't want to be like Cedar Falls. I don't want to follow what Dubuque's doing. I want somebody to have the courage to stand up and say, this is what Waterloo does, and it works for us, not what works for Cedar Falls or Dubuque or whoever else. We have a lot of citizens in this community that are willing to sacrifice their time and volunteer for organizations. I'm sure we can find people that could serve better on this council. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Mike Boquist. I'm here again to stand up for my friend that has been done an injustice by council members. 416 Shirley. Council members that took upon themselves to turn down Johnny's job after it was already approved and budgeted for last year by the city council. Remember that oath I'm sure you took when you got sworn into office? I remember mine when I got sworn in to protect this country from harm, foreign or domestic. I'll never forget that oath, and I'll always honor it, even if I'm no longer in the service. I'll always fight for what's right. Before I joined the military, I was getting laid off from construction jobs and getting bummed and wanted to do something better, opportunity for myself. I wanted to do something that had a greater cause than just me or paying my bills. I got scared and wondered why my bad. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
This is the flag I carried in my backpack the whole time I was in Iraq. On every patrol I went out, I had it with me, just in case I got scared. I always pulled it out of my bag to remind myself what I signed up for. Sorry, I'm not good at speeches. I spent several years in the Army, 12 months in Iraq fighting for this flag, because I have a great pride in my country, state, and community. I ended up getting injured, forced to leave the Army, and don't regret 1 minute of it. I believe that doing something for my country was the best thing I could possibly do to make a difference. And now I'm home and I see this country and communities divided because no one will actually put their foot down and say enough is enough and fight back for the people. At what point do politicians of this community or country decide to put their personal agendas aside, meet in the middle, and actually come up with a plan that really truly works for the people of this country and our community? I know Johnny has a pride in this and what he does in this community. Last year during the flood, when everyone was worried about it being worse than 2008, Johnny was volunteering his own time at the streets department and building bagging sand for several days, because helping out your neighbor and your community is what everyone should be trying to do. I ask you to look at the flag and remind yourself of the pride you should have in it. After all, we live in the greatest country on earth. I ask you to show up to work one day. Show up to work and do one thing every day to make this city a better place. I know what Johnny would do, and that's why I'm here standing up for my friend. I ask that you please reconsider your position and your voice and stand up and at least give an explanation of your decision. Your time in office might be limited, and that position is used for good and feel good when you leave at the end of the day. You might not be here for 12 years. Again, I ask you to please reconsider.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Todd Obadall, 124 Amity Drive. Before I go any further, I'd like to thank the previous gentleman for his service. Yes, we did take an oath. We took an oath to the Constitution and to protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I know he takes that oath seriously, and we also take an oath, or city council members take an oath as well, to process and to adhering to the rule of law. A casual observation I have made since the election has found I have yet to find a single person that is absolutely fantastically happy with the results of every single election. If anybody knows a person like that, let me know. I don't know that demographic group. I don't know that individual. But the council is as the council is. Each person has one vote. And the people that campaigned, they got elected for the reasons that they campaigned on. And I would be more disappointed to have someone that I disagree with not stay true to their word than for somebody that I agree with to carry out on their own. The contract to employ a city worker must be approved by the city council. Anyone that promised this gentleman that didn't get hired a job did so outside the purview of their permission. It was about a year ago, there was a position over at the wastewater plant where we had 17 applicants and 1 interview was performed. There was a lot of discussion on the city council at that time when the 4-3 was going a different way. Arguments were made that maybe we should spread out the net a little further and look for somebody that might be better suited for this. Or maybe we should interview somebody that's currently employed down at the wastewater plant who has the qualifications for that position. We were told no. This guy coming in is the best guy in the world, and he's coming in from Utah. And oh, by the way, he's already given up his job in Utah. And if we don't give him his job that we've promised him outside of city council approval, we might get sued for that. Well, it turns out that gentleman did not lose his job because he had been hired here. Apparently there were some problems there, and that gentleman had to resign from his position. But never once during that conversation did anyone say that this is just a courtesy, that the city council gives a courtesy to the hires. It is part of the process. It is in the city ordinance in 181B. All contracts entered into by the city, except such as may be entered into by ordinance, shall be in writing, executed by the mayor in his official capacity, with the corporate seal of the city affixed thereto and approved by the city council, which approval shall be endorsed on the contract by the city clerk and attested by the city clerk's seal and signature. This is the law. Just because the former employees have been rubber stamped through the council doesn't mean that that's the way it has to be. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else that would like to address the council on non-agenda related items? Going a second.
Forrest Dillaboo, 1725 Huntington Road. It was mentioned by someone that taxes don't make any difference, that it's fine to continue to raise them. Those are my own interpretations. VGM came before this group when they wanted to expand. And they said, if you don't give us everything we want, we will go to Cedar Falls because the taxes there are 30% lower. This was one of the management team. The ground was already broken. They'd already started the building. Now, the Cedar Falls is looking at reducing their taxes by 5%. So that means that it'll be 35% cheaper to build in Cedar Falls. And if we raise ours 5%, as one of you has proposed, that would be 40% cheaper in Cedar Falls. When I moved here 50 years ago, we had the lowest taxes in the state of Iowa. Now we are the highest tax city in the state of Iowa. We can't even give our residential lots away. What we are doing with our residential lots that we acquire 657A, tear the house down, clear the land, give them $5,000 cash to build a house on it. Now, I can't stand that, you know. I'm not going to be here when they start paying taxes because you're giving them tax exempt on top of that for some more years. You just keep driving us down, keep burdening us down with taxes. That is why we're having trouble. We can keep giving away. We can give away until we turn upside down financially, which is probably where we are today. Or we can start stopping these things. And these antics that went on last week should never have happened. And they shouldn't happen again tonight, as it looks like they're going to. I think that
This should be set aside until the budget is set, and then if we can afford it, we can apply it. Thank you.
Thank you. Going once, going. If you want to speak, just come on up. You just start making your way up.
John's not that slow.
John Sherbin, 1715 Robin Road. I want to back up a couple weeks. We had a meeting and didn't go very well. In the meantime, we've had a lot of problems, and the biggest problem that I see is that we've got a question mark. This is a procedural problem. It's not because the man is not one of the best, probably, or anything else going on from that aspect. We did not get into this fight just to prove who can tax or who can do what. The problem lies in procedures. My question would be, Mr. Mayor, why hasn't the city attorney said, is this legal or is this illegal? And that would solve the problem, because if it's legal, then we don't have a problem. The man's hired. If it's illegal, then we got to go back and fix the procedure. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Going twice. We'll do 3 times anyway. All right, thank you. We have now council comments, and Mr. Morrissey has some comments for us.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'll start again then, and this may take a little while. Mr. Mayor, again voice my request that you declare the action taken by a 4-3 vote on February 5th, 2018, consent agenda, item 1-B-4, recommendation of appointment of John Ulrich from civil service list to position of garage mechanic at Public Works effective 2/7/18 as out of order, and therefore the vote be null and void. And I base this on the following points. Number 1, that the full council on 8/28/17 voted 4-0 in a committee of the whole, the Human Resources Committee, where all 7 persons are asked to be there, to start the civil service process in an answer to one of the people in the audience and make an appointment. The vote was taken, the process completed, and the appointment made as required by code and law. Number 2, the agenda item was complete with explanation alerting all of us that the appointment was made and Public Works appointed John Ulrich to the position. Number 3, therefore, the position budgeted, the requisition process completed, voted by council to appoint, civil service hiring process completed, appointment made, taken back to council to acknowledge the appointed person. Number 4, this item was only about who was appointed, not about any of the prior actions. It was not about budget, nor if the position was approved or should be filled, as that had already been decided. Number 5, there is nothing in our code of ordinances that this action on 2/5/2018 is or has ever been required. This action is code absent and therefore improper and out of order. Number 6, the civil service process as defined in state code speaks to following the process and ending with the appointment, which was approved by the mayor, passed by council on 8/28/2017, and the appointment made. Number 7, the city of Waterloo has a 50-year past practice of any item like this being an acknowledgement of the appointment and introduction of the appointee to the council, all city department heads, and to the residents of Waterloo. Number 8, the English language itself uses the word of in this specific case to indicate a past act. Recommendation of appointment. Recommendation of appointment. If it were to say to, it would indicate a future act, but it did not say that. Number 9, that the place for rejection of a position being filled rests elsewhere in the Human Resources Committee, and that is found in past actions of this council. As an example, on May 22nd of last year at the Human Resources Committee of the whole, The council voted 4-3 to approve the hiring process to start an appointment be made on the downtown maintenance 2 position. Councilpersons Schmidt, Jacobs, and Lind opposed filling that position, and I have documents that show that. And they argued as such and voted to not proceed with that position. But they lost 4-3. Then, on 8/21, August 21st of last year, at the regular council meeting and on the consent agenda, just like with John Olerich, same language, recommendation of appointment of downtown maintenance 2, guess what? It passed 7-0, with councilpersons Schmidt, Jacobs, and Lind voting yes to the entire consent agenda. And I got documents to show that as well. Number 10, what occurred to John Olerich on 2/5/2018 is changing the rules after the game is over. It seems an abuse of authority to me, and to me it could be likened to a team with a little bit of monetary clout, like losing the Super Bowl, but then declaring themselves a winner because they can. Number 11, and finally, the possibility of the city of Waterloo being civilly liable is real and distinct due to what 4 members of this council did to this person, John Olerich, on February 5th. And the grounds in talking to some attorneys are breach of contract and detrimental alliance as arguments to be used against us. Therefore, in light of all this, Mr. Mayor, I ask you to declare as the mayor, as the presiding officer, and the leader of our city to on the above named vote to rule it out of order, null and void. Mr. John Olerich needs to be made whole, and by your ruling he will. Mr. Mayor, I thank you for your time and consideration on this matter, but I have more to say as well. And that is, Mr. Mayor, as of today, I start the day count. And this is day 14. February 19th is day 14 since the injustice done to mechanic John Olerich. And you are a mechanic, John. By this council, led by 10-year councilperson Steve Schmidt, 2-year councilperson Bruce Jacobs, and newly elected councilpersons Chris Schimp and Margaret Klein. We look to all 4 of them to right this wrong. We will continue to remind them of this wrong until John is made whole, and so the reputation of this council. Mr. Olerich, I hope that you are well, as can be expected. Next, Mr. Mayor, I expect a public apology in this chamber from senior councilperson Steve Schmidt for his disrespectful comments directed at me at last Monday's February 12th meeting during the council session when, among other things, he told me to be quiet. Being the leader of the majority of 4 on this current council does not entitle Mr. Schmidt to such behavior, nor do I think such behavior should be seen by anyone out there in the audience or on TV land or anywhere in general. It should be seen as an example of a person leading by example or modeling behavior for the youth in our community. Finally, Mr. Mayor, I believe that this and every council has been elected to represent all of the citizens of Waterloo, old, young, male, female, worker, retired, those with and those without, immigrant, Native American, everyone, regardless of status. We are to adhere to the Constitution, state laws, and city ordinance to the best of our abilities and provide public services to our residents, which they deserve and expect, but also to work at attaining the 4 city goals that are listed at the top of every one of our regular session agendas. Mr. Mayor, to that end, I will continue to oppose any quality of life or public service cuts that may be proposed or passed which would result in services to our residents being diminished. Taxes are not evil. Taxes are not our enemy. Taxes are the way that we as residents pay for the services that we have, expect, and deserve. Taxes are a community's responsibility to itself and all of our fellow residents. The mantra, cut, 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 when it comes to our property taxes or levy rate, or any tax rate for that matter, will not solve any problem nor secure sudden wealth to any of us. Those cuts mean and have been shown by history to mean a downward loss to quality of life as well as public safety services. This cut mentality is part of a political ideology and agenda of strong-arming us through deception, half-truths, and misleading information towards an end that we as a community need to resist and stop. Mr. Mayor, council, audience, thanks for your time.
I think that one thing would help is we have a tendency to air out certain things. I mean, if two council members got a little heated dialogue, then maybe we should set up a meeting where folks can talk like adults and work through some of the problems or challenges. And that doesn't just go for council, that goes for me too. But council, any other questions so we can move on with this meeting? Conversation.
Mr. Mayor, is this Mr. Morrissey has asked for some action. Is this something that our city attorney can take under advisement, or what do you suggest is the next step?
I will have a conversation with Dave.
Great.
Somebody make a motion to close the
Make a motion to receive and place on file the comments received during oral presentations.
Second.
Motion's been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All presentations filed.
Okay, I make a motion to receive, place on file, and accept the consent agenda with the addition to A1 of the dollar amount of $2,945,402.85.
Second.
That motion's been made with the second. Council questions? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Schimpf?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Juwan?
Yes.
All right. Number 2, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Is Quentin Richardson here? I'm sorry, we had kind of slipped past that. Quentin Richardson has been a new appointment to the Human Rights Commission, and Brandon Scharborg also to our General Contractors Boards and Licensing Examiners and Appeals. So you're both probably watching. Thank you for your service, and I look forward to working with you over the next couple of years. Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 2 is a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing, and that's for the fiscal year 2018 University Avenue Phase 1 from Green Hill Road to Evergreen Avenue, contract number 933.
Second. That motion's been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. The hearing is now open.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Is now appropriate time to request that Mr. Thorson give an overview for the council and the public?
That's what I was going to do.
Oh, okay.
So, Mr.
Thank you.
Thorson. Or if you got the...
Eric Thorson, Senior, our consultants are here and prepared to do that.
We're going to put it up here.
Good evening, Council. Larry Wheeler with AECOM, the designers for Phase 1 of the University Avenue project. This project extends from Green Hill Road, pretty close to the Perkins, to Evergreen Avenue, which is just past Amesboro Road. We are looking at constructing that as a 4-lane roadway with the associated storm sewer, water main, the underground work. There will be a rec trail on the south side for the entire length of the project, as well as sidewalk on the north side. We are looking at new roadway lighting for the entire length of the corridor, as well as new signalized intersections where they exist today. We're also looking at, and you can see them in the rendering on your screen there, the aesthetic enhancements, which would include colored crosswalks. It would include bus shelters, some colored pavement in the medians to enhance those areas where they are narrower, and also some landscape in the medians. There are some elements that are planned for this segment that will be included in Phase 2. Those are some of the things that we want to combine together with things that are in that future phase of the project. So That stretch is just a little over a mile from Green Hill Road to just past Amesboro. I don't know if there's other questions or.
Larry?
Well, this is actually time for the public to ask, but we wanted to give just an overview so folks know exactly what they're looking at. So is there anyone that would like to address the council with thoughts, concerns, share your heart about this project? Going a second time.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to close the hearing and file the oral comments.
Second.
That motion's been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution confirming approval of plan, specifications, form of contract, et cetera. Estimate of cost, et cetera.
Second.
That motion's been made with the second. Mr. Shemp.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. So I just wanted to.
You may want to stay up.
Larry.
Not getting off that fast.
So I just wanted to go over
he took off to a seat too. Like, wow.
He's worried about the ice.
So one of the things I requested, I know previous council and new council members, all of us here, we filled out a survey regarding some of the things that we wanted to see as far as beautification for the University Avenue corridor. So I had that in front of me. I don't know, Larry, do you have those survey results in front of you, or no?
Not offhand, but
No,
I'm familiar with them.
Or if you just maybe wanted to go over some of the things that were that were very important to the council members as far as what we wanted up there. Thank you, Eric.
Sure, I think some of the important things that were listed on there, obviously trees were very important, and if you look at the rendering, we do have trees along the length of the corridor. On the pedestrian lighting, that is something we don't have specifically in there as pedestrian lights themselves, but the roadway lighting that we've had, we've looked at the lighting levels along the rec trail and the sidewalk, and that lighting level is adequate for the pedestrian walkways. The intersection markers and the wayfinding signage, I'm just kind of working down the list in order there. Those were things that, because of the need to go through, I'll say, a design process where we get some more input on those, we want to wait till phase 2 for those and do both phase 1 and phase 2 of those in the same project. That also helps, rather than having it split into 2 projects where we might get 2 different suppliers of those. We want those to match for both phase 1 and phase 2. So those were delayed, but they haven't been eliminated from consideration. Those are things that we're waiting on. The enhanced corners and enhanced crosswalks, those are things that we hope will alert the traveling public to those crosswalks, kind of just draw more attention to them. That's a safety thing. Those are included in the project. The stormwater and bioswales in this phase of the project, those aren't really feasible because of the amount of space we have. We look at those as being something more for phase 3. And then the median refuges was something that, because of the space that was available, those couldn't fit in. But then the plantings on the median, those were included. So we've tried to include most of the items that were on that list. And the ones that aren't in this current project are planned to be included in the future phase.
Thank you, Larry. And then just to be clear so that the public is aware, this is being paid. The source of funding for this is University Avenue Transfer of Jurisdictions Funds. So it's funding that we received from the state. And then my final question was, Eric, I know we're kind of doing this in a different order compared to how maybe we wanted to originally. If you could just touch on why we're doing this portion of it versus any other portion of it first.
Eric Thorson, City Engineer. Obviously, as most of you are aware, we've kind of divided this into 3 phases. And as the consultant was preparing the plans and we were working with staff and all the various departments on this project, we determined that we need quite a few temporary easements on some of these phases. On the first phase from Midway to Green Hill, we needed 22 easements. These are temporary easements, not permanent easements, but they are with different property owners. The phase from Green Hill down to Evergreen, we only needed 4. And probably the third phase, we won't need very many at all. But it takes a while to get those easements, especially when you deal with a lot of different property owners. We have some that are not local, live out of state, and that sort of thing. So we were able to secure the 4 easements that we needed for phase 2 much quicker, and that way we could get a project started this year. We're very anxious to get something started out there. You know, inflation will eat away at our funds, and we want to be sure that we can get as much done as we can for the money that was given to us by the state and the transfer's jurisdiction. So it just kind of became obvious as we were working through the process that even though we're doing the middle phase, it was the one that we could get going the quickest because of the easement situation.
Thank you, Eric.
All right. Any other questions? Mr. Jacobs.
Mr. Wheelie, just want to ask, what type of material are we looking at? Are we looking at concrete or are we looking at asphalt?
It would be concrete, Portland cement concrete for the project.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know, Larry, if this is for you or Eric, but you know, the original estimate was 11 million, I think, and we're at 8.3, 8.4, something like that. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, is it just a competitive world? And I think the concern is just to make sure we removed anything, because there's going to be, I think, a difference between Waterloo and Cedar Falls, and
Sure.
we don't want that difference to be any more than it already is.
I can tell you the process we go through. We took similar projects. One was the US 63 project in downtown Waterloo. The other was the Cedar Falls projects on University Avenue. And then we also look at the DOT statewide averages for bid items. And we use those prices as our comparison. We take our quantities based on those prices. We can do that for the average prices and get an estimate. What we have trouble with is knowing how hungry are the contractors, what are they interested in working on, do they have another reason to be in town. One of the things with a paving project of this size, the one big item on the project is the paving, and we received a very competitive bid on an awful lot of paving, and that brought the whole price down for us. So it's really, it's good fortune for the city that we were able to do that, but it is early in the project. We have 2 more phases to go, so we don't want to count our chickens, but it is a positive start to the project.
So nothing was downgraded or nothing was removed?
Nothing was changed to reduce those costs.
Thank you.
We can add some more if you.
Roundabouts. Eric Thorson, I'd just like to add that we are also cooperating with the Waterloo Waterworks. They have some pretty significant water main work that they want to do during this project. I think their cost is about $1 million based on the bid. So we've been coordinating with them to do that work under our project. Makes much more sense to do that work while we have the pavement removed. Helps them save cost, helps us save costs later if this work were done later. So we have been cooperating with the waterworks and also working with other utilities that are going to be doing some work along the way too. But the waterworks work was included in this bid, so that's about $1 million of the project is for that waterworks work.
All right, Mr. Morrissey.
Yeah, several things, Larry, and maybe Eric, you as well. What would happen if we defeated this tonight?
Well, we'd probably go back to the drawing board. We'd have to see what you want to do next.
Okay, well, I know that I have repeatedly asked Larry and Eric for a study from AECom or whoever, the effect of lowering the speed limit to 35 miles an hour on this full stretch of road and how that would impact the ability to have roundabouts. And that request was further strengthened by me and I think a lot of people driving University Avenue in Cedar Falls through their roundabouts and how slick they are, how great they are, and how they work so well, and why we did not do it and why we would not make use of that concept at intersections is beyond me, especially where the intersections that have been selected where they would be possible, according to your studies, were completely eliminated. And so I don't know why I never have received anything about that impact, but I'm requesting it again. The other thing is, has AECom ever designed a roundabout, Larry?
Yes, we designed the first one in the Cedar Valley at Viking Road and Green Hill Road. Excuse me, not by Cedar Heights. We also designed the one at corner of University and Green Hill in Cedar Falls. We've also done some in other communities.
Okay, so you're aware of that concept and how it works in different areas. So my
Absolutely.
question is, why would, when there are at least 2 intersections where this would be viable, you chose not to include this in the plan?
Larry is not on the witness stand right now.
I'm asking him questions,
They
Mr. Mayor.
provided a study on roundabouts, if I'm not mistaken. Council maybe some folks just didn't like what they provided. This is only one stretch of University Avenue. If council would like roundabouts at the other sections, is there still a possibility?
And I'm only asking him questions, Mr. Mayor, so I may be allowed to proceed.
Yeah, it just comes off
Thank
a
you.
little condescending to him.
No, not condescending,
I'm just
questioning,
telling
Mr.
you.
Mayor. Just questioning, Mr. Mayor.
I think maybe the easiest way to answer that question is, as engineers, we look at the benefits versus the cost. From a traffic standpoint, the benefits to roundabouts in this stretch of the roadway were less than they were for the signals as far as traffic operations go. So the benefits were, there's safety benefits, there's aesthetic benefits, maybe that's a matter of opinion, but the cost of those roundabouts, and they were, in this segment, they would have worked at Falls and at Sager. We looked at those, and the original study showed that to do that, we would cut off access to, at Falls, we would cut off access to the Alabar Plaza area, and at Sager, we would cut off access to the area north of the road, which I call it the old McDonald's, but the Maid-Right, that area. So in addition to the reduction in traffic benefits, we would also have an increase in right-of-way costs and a reduction in access to those neighborhoods. So we just looked at the benefits versus the cost to compare those things. As far as your question on comparing speeds for roundabouts and signals, the original study compared roundabouts and signals at 45 miles per hour. If we were to take that down to 35 miles per hour for both segments, it would be, the reduction would be equivalent, or it would be scaled to the same reduction. So there wouldn't be enough of a difference between the two, whether it's 35 or 45, to show an improvement one way or the other.
Okay. Thank you. Then, according to the bid that were here, the estimate was, I believe, $11,288,000, and then the lowest bid comes in at $8,700,000. So about a $2.5 million difference. And I know this starts at Green Hill Road, and one of the areas where there was a roundabout was considered to be Green Hill Road, and I personally have been asking that we think into the future on this. And to me, the future would require that at Green Hill Road, that we eliminate that bridge. And we can use this $2.5 million to do that, to get rid of that bridge and put a roundabout route there, thereby opening up that entire area for development. And I would ask you to take a look at that as a possibility for the money that's being saved here below the estimate there. So the other, and the last thing, is that the public that I've talked to have wondered how come there was not time for more public input. They were involved with a couple, I believe, of meetings, but they were not really open as they wanted them to be, nor did they ever feel that they got any responses to their comments. And I'm fully aware, being at the one at the Waterloo Center for the Arts, that there were many people who spoke up about why roundabouts weren't included. And I come back to that, and everybody says, well, that Pat Morrissey, he's just a roundabout nut. Well, no, I'm for public safety. And I believe that roundabouts serve that purpose, and it's showing itself in Cedar Falls. I want us to move into the future and to make use of those concepts that put us into the future, Larry. And for that reason, I'm going to be voting no on this tonight.
And I don't want to give the impression that there were no public meetings. We had a public meeting somewhere on University Avenue. How many people showed up to that, the first one? One, Mr. Sherman, 2, 3, 4. How many people? Any guesstimate?
I
And then
think there was 50 would be my guess for both of the public meetings.
And then you had one at the Center for the Arts at council's request to host another one. And you had was the website open for suggestions as well? So let's not make it seem like there was absolutely no public input on this particular project. But council, do you have any other questions for this gentleman? All right.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution on authorizing to proceed.
Second.
That motion has been made with the, we're at confirming of approval and plans. Yep, on that one. We read it. I just took a second, and then I went to Mr.
And actually, we already had a motion and a second.
Right.
So, Madam Clerk, my fault.
My fault.
Madam Clerk.
Mr. Morrissey?
No.
Mr. Schimpf?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Juwan?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
All right.
Now I'd like to do a resolution authorizing to proceed.
Second.
Motion's been made with the second. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Schimpf?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Juwan?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
No.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to receive, file, and instruct the city clerk to read bids and refer to the city engineer for review.
Second.
That motion's been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, so, city clerk, please read the bids.
Okay, our estimate was 11,288,025 cents. Our first bidder was Veith Construction Corporation of Cedar Falls, Iowa. They provided 5% security. Their bid amount was $9,469,045.08. Second bidder was K. Cunningham Construction Company Incorporated of Cedar Falls, Iowa. They provided 5% security. Their bid amount was $8,978,740.40. The third bidder was Peterson Contractors Incorporated of Rhinebeck, Iowa. They provided 5% security. Their bid amount was $8,709,078.89.
All right, thank you. Could someone take 3, 4, and 5, please?
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Number 3 is a resolution approving an agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation, Chicago Central Railroad Company, and Pacific Railroad Company for the Conger Street Railroad Crossing Surface Repair Project, with the city's share of the cost totaling $41,500, and authorized mayor to execute said agreement. Number 4 is a resolution approving an agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation, Chicago Central Railroad Company, and Pacific Railroad Company for the West Donald Street Railroad Crossing Surface Repair Project, with the city's share of the cost totaling $24,000, and authorized mayor to execute said agreement. And number 5 is a resolution approving an agreement with the Iowa Department of Transportation, Chicago Central Railroad Company, and Pacific Railroad Company for West Parker Street Railroad Crossing Surface Repair Project, with the city's share of the cost totaling $57,000, and authorize the mayor to execute said agreement.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Council questions? Anyone with questions on these items?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Very minor little question. I'm not sure who to ask this, but isn't the correct name the Union Pacific Railroad?
Eric?
I think that's like 100-and-some-year-old entity. Is that what their legalese shows?
Eric Thorson, no, there's actually another railroad in the city that is the Union Pacific. They have other tracks. So this is still the name that's used for what used to be the old Illinois Central. And now it's actually kind of Canadian National, but.
But there's also a Pacific Railroad in there somewhere, too.
Yeah, this is what's in the agreements.
I did not know that.
Seems a little strange, but.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you. Other questions? Madam Clerk?
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Juwan?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Schimpf?
Yes.
All right,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
May I ask one question just in regards to those? And I've been asked by people in that area to make sure that detours and that were in order and were not in any way going to add to the closures and the detours because of the 63 construction. So they just wanted to make sure that when those are going on, that people have access and they have egress from their areas to the hospital, downtown, and other areas of town.
Eric, you so noted.
Eric Thorson, city engineer. Actually, the city is responsible for the barricading for these projects, so if a detour is necessary at some of these, we'll include that in the cost. Most of these only take 2 or 3 days to actually do the work, and the railroad, once the agreements are signed, the DOT signs, and the railroad has to order materials. Not even sure that these will get done this year. The railroad has kind of a small crew, and they'll do as many as they can, and they're not just doing them here in Waterloo, they're doing them all over the state. So, but we want to get these agreements in place so at least they can get materials ordered and be ready to go as soon as their crew is available. But we'll
I think it's just
definitely look at that.
Yeah, having some sensitivity
So,
to
Ms.
folks that live there. Yes, sir.
Mayor and Eric, if I read that right, they got 18 months to do it, so that can be jockeyed around so that there's not a double whammy for the people that live there with 63 and these going on at the same time, if I hear you right.
We can talk to the railroad about that. Yeah, they do have a kind of a long period to get them done by the agreement, so hopefully we have some flexibility there, although I know that their crew, when they come in, would probably do as
I
many.
just realized, talk to the clerk, we've already voted on this. Can you get with Mr. Morrissey and make sure you take care of the residents' concern there?
Sure.
And it's not, I've heard it too, so please make sure you get with him and hear those concerns. 6, 7, and 8, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving professional service agreement with AECom Technical Services Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $53,800 in conjunction with the fiscal year 2018 bridge and culvert repairs, contract number 950, and authorize the mayor to execute said document. And number 7, a resolution approving supplemental agreement number 1 with AECom Technical Services Incorporated, Waterloo, Iowa, in the amount of $4,000 in conjunction with runway 6/24, and authorize the mayor to execute said document. And number 8, a resolution approving supplemental agreement number 1 to the professional services agreement with HR Green Company of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, in the amount of $5,300 in conjunction with the former Chamberlain site redevelopment planning, and authorize the mayor to execute said document.
Second.
The motion's been made with the second. I just got one question. No, with the number 8, we are going to reach out to the neighborhoods for, that's right.
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. As you may recall, as we were going through a couple of public hearings on looking at reuses of this area, we had a public meeting on that. We did receive some public output on that. That's actually part of the work in here. If you look at the summary statement, the second thing was to produce a fourth design and look at some of the other designs for the earthen levee and all that. So again, that was based on some of the public feedback we had on that. We'll continue to look at further public meetings as we move ahead with these designs. But this was kind of the first portion of setting up those designs in consultation, I guess, with the environmental information and the levee information and all that we have for the area. So this was kind of the technical data research of what designs were potentially out there. Now we'll go ahead and move ahead forward with talking to the neighborhoods, talking to leisure services and all that about different options we have out there. But now that we have this environmental information, it'll make it a lot easier for our options.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Just have a quick overview of number 7, please.
Mr. Casper.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Keith Caspar, Airport Director. What we did, as you know, when you were still on a liaison to the board, we initiated an agreement with AECom to do a significant project or study analysis for our overall airfield pavement. A supplement to that was to do a separate study on runway 624, which is our east-west runway. Part of that overall study included options for rehabilitation, for 3 options for rehabilitation in its current width and length. What this is going to do tonight is task AECom with coming up with additional options and project cost estimates for a shorter length of runway. Current length of runway today is 5,400 feet. If you're bringing in from runway 1230 and 1836, that's about half that length, or about 2,700. They would then provide some cost estimates for a rehabilitated runway in or around that length of pavement surface.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
So Keith, what
What size jet then would be able to land on that runway at that reduced length?
At Councilman Jacobs at 2,700 feet, I would not recommend any jet land on that runway length.
It's just general aviation purposes.
Strictly general aviation light aircraft only with a weight not to exceed 12,500 pounds, if that.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Juwan?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
No.
On all three?
On number 7. Yes on the other 2.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Schimpf?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
All right, thank you. 9 and 10, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Amos.
Oh, sorry.
You can second.
I second.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving a request by CGA Engineers on behalf of BCS Properties LLC for the preliminary plot of Village West Second Edition, a 3-lot commercial subdivision located at the northeast corner of Highway 63 and West Ridgeway Avenue. Number 10 is a resolution approving an amendment to the development agreement with Central Property Holdings LLC to alter the structure of the parking lot acquisition for the grocery store project located at East 2nd Street and Franklin Street, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
The motion has been made with Mr. Schimpf second. Questions or comments, anyone?
Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I wanted to comment on number 10 regarding the grocery store and what we're doing there. I had the pleasure of meeting with Mr. Anderson earlier this week, a few days ago, and I think this is a perfect use of these funds. I think this is exactly what one of the things this community needs. I can't say enough good things about the projects he's got going on over there and some of his ideas for the area. And I am totally on board with this, and I think that I would hope that the rest of the council would be on board with number 10 as well.
All right.
Mayor?
Let's go, Mrs. Klein and Mr. Schmidt.
I can't say how much I agree with that. That is just, I met with Mr. Anderson too, and I love the vision. I love the exciting ideas. I think he's the gentleman that can pull it off.
And I just want to say that I got an email from Laura Hoy, who's the president of the Walnut Neighborhood Association. She could not be here tonight, but she also wanted to share her and her organization's support for this project and for this item tonight.
All right. We have former Councilwoman Willa Mae Wright in our audience too, who lives very close and can probably go back. Huh? But I can also remember times when we tried to bring folks and different developers, and it just didn't happen. You know, Rodney's heart is into it, and he cares for the community, and I echo the sentiments of everybody. I don't have a vote, but looking forward to it.
And Mr.
So,
Levi.
anyone else want to make comments before we
Mr.
move
Anderson
forward?
want to say anything? Or? No?
Go ahead, yeah.
He was quite the talkative guy the other day, so I figured he had to.
First of all, I'd just like to say,
Name and address for the record. You should.
I thought everyone knew who I was. Okay.
But,
Rodney Anderson, 216 Heather. I'm the managing partner of Central Property Holdings. I had the pleasure. Sometimes you can meet, I'm going to run a little over, but sometimes you can hear about people and you can see things that's happening on TV, and that's not what you're really seeing. We don't get to know each other enough. We think we know each other. We think we know what we're standing for, and we don't. Rich, poor, black, white. All of us love Waterloo, we say. But how do we invest into Waterloo? It's not going to be always about money. Believe me, if it was, we wouldn't be doing this project. But it has to be about people. Uplifting not just one person, but everyone. Myself, Laura Hoy, Allie Parrish, and a bunch more other people have gotten together. And we came together. We met 1 or 2 times. And it was chaos all over the place. But as we start to know each other and to know what we were feeling about each other and how we were going to do this, we started putting a plan together. And it wasn't a plan of I know more, I have more. It was a plan on what can we do for Waterloo. So I seen the city council meeting, but I don't know the people. I met with Ms. Klein and I met with Mr. Shemp. We talked for 3 hours. They never once said, we're gonna talk because you got our guarantee. They said, I wanna know what this project is about. And I want you to know what it's about. Because if you don't know, it's a failure to begin with. Because we're gonna need you to shop there and eat at this restaurant in order to make it. We're gonna build it. April 2nd, God said the same with the weather, it's gonna happen. So I hope we get a 7-0 vote, not because we're gonna just, if we have 7-0, we can look better. You need to do it for yourselves because this is a win-win-win situation for Waterloo. Yeah, you can clap on that. Yeah, it's a win-win-win situation for Waterloo. And what we have to do is, and I told Margaret this, we have to know each other. If we don't know each other and what makes us tick, it's not gonna happen. We're not gonna agree all the time. There's some things that myself and my business partner, we just don't agree on. But we never, ever take it outside of nowhere else. You wouldn't think we disagreed on anything, you know? So let's not only let that grocery store be a beacon of light for the community, but let it be a switch for things that should be there already. I want another developer to follow behind me and say, you know what? He put his money in, let me put my money in. And believe me, I have developers that call me and say, nope, that's a crazy idea. And I said, I didn't ask your permission anyway. You know, so what we're going to do is we're going to do what we're going to do. But before you vote, I have something else I would like to do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I met with a trailblazer today that's been in this community for 58 years, stayed in her home after people wanted to do all this relocation and everything else. She stayed through riots. She told us today, I've seen the good and I've seen the bad of everything. I met with 62 people before I came to this meeting. I told them, we don't need you to come to the meeting tonight. We don't want to make it hotter in there. We just don't. The reason why I didn't want those folks to come, because this just makes sense. With that being said, a portion of that grocery store and restaurant will have a community room in it. 1,000 square feet. Miss Willie Wright, can you come up here with me? She didn't know this was going to happen. But after hearing her story and all the things that she did for all of us, we are going to name the community center the Miss Willie Mae Wright Community Center. Yes.
Really?
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, oh, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. You're going to make me cry. Don't make me cry.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
'Cause you deserve
Thank
it.
You. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I can say. Is thank
Don't make
you.
me cry because I'll do it.
Thank
I'll
you.
do it. I'll do it.
They're about to
I'll
make
do it.
all of us cry right now.
Yes. So, you know, Mr. Mayor, you know, Mr. Shemp, Mr. Morrissey, Mr. Jacobs, Mr. Juan, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Amos, and Margaret. You told me to call you Margaret. I thank you already in advance in the city of Waterloo. Thank you. And thank you for all that you do for the city. And if you have a question or anything, please, all of you have my number. Just call. Call any of us. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I also want to touch on, he forgot I saw Mr. Goodson back there somewhere, I think. Mr. Anderson told me he was going to work with Mr. Goodson to make sure we get some employment for some folks that need it here in the community, so I think that's another great thing. There's so many good things with this project, so I hope it's 7-0.
All right. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Juwan?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Shimp?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes. All right. Y'all have to stay to the end of the meeting. We here, y'all here too. So we only have four more items left. Who wants to take number 11?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Morrissey.
I'd like to make a motion to receive, file, consider, and pass for the third time and adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 5079 as amended City of Waterloo zoning ordinance by amending the official zoning map referred to in section 10-4-4, approving a rezone of certain property located at 719 West 6th Street.
Second.
A motion's been made with the second. Madam Clerk?
Mrs. Juwan?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Schimpf?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
All right, item carries. Number 12, please.
Mr. Mayor, would
Yes,
it be
sir.
okay to take 12 and 13 together, being as that they're somewhat related?
Kelly? Is that legal?
We've always taken ordinances separately.
Separately.
Okay. Oh, I wasn't. Okay, Jerome, I yield to you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to receive, file, and consider and pass for the third time and adopt an ordinance amending the 2008 Traffic Code Section 540 ordinance to official traffic control devices by deleting subsection 88 First Street E and Mulberry Street pre-timed and 90 parentheses First Street E parentheses and Sycamore Street pre-timed as signals have been removed.
Second.
A motion has been made with the second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Schimpf?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Juwan?
Yes.
All right, 13, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Morrissey.
I'd like to make a motion to receive, file, consider, and pass for the third time and adopt an ordinance amending the 2008 Traffic Code Section 543 through streets by deleting subsection 57 First Street East and adding in lieu thereof a new subsection 57 First Street E as follows: 57 First Street East, Cedar River to Franklin Street, except for signals at Lafayette Street and Franklin Street, and except stop signs at Mulberry Street and Sycamore Street.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Schimpf?
Yes.
Mrs. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Juwan?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
All right, number 14, please.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Number 14 is a motion approving change order number 1 for a net increase of $8,454 for ongoing exterior improvements to hangar number 4 at the Waterloo Regional Airport, and authorize the mayor to execute said documents.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. Keith?
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Keith Caspar, Airport Director, coming to you tonight with support of our IDOT Program Manager, Shane Wright. What we're doing here is we have about $9,100 and some odd dollars left over from our fiscal year 2016 capital project for the use of the commercial service vertical infrastructure funds. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that $8,454 and we're going to do some additional lights for the exterior LED style, and I have a cost breakdown if you would like me to read that into the record as well.
Anyone said no?
Okay. And this is, of course, 100% on IDOT's funds with no match by the city or the airport department.
It's even better. All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made with second. All in favor?
Aye.
We adjourn.